Hi everyone, this is Selena Kraus and welcome to another card video. In this video, this is the second video for today and I'm making a card for the new Hero Arts Stay Craft with Hero challenge that's launching today over on the Hero Arts blog. So I'm using the Hero Arts Waves and Clouds bold print and Clouds and Rainbows wood mount stamp. Along with those items, I'm using clear and white embossing powder. So let's get started. I have the new Hero Black Misty. I'm going to use it. I removed the mat I will use to stamp the bold prints onto a piece of watercolor paper. I trimmed down the piece of watercolor paper to 4¼ by 5½, which is A2 size card front, but then we're going to trim it down to 4 by 5¼ So I'm positioning that stamp in my MISTI. I'm going to stamp with black ink just to see where the pattern is. So I make sure that I stamp straight onto my watercolor paper panel. So here it doesn't really matter how it's stamped, if it's like we have even coverage or not. I just use it as a guideline. Next I'm adding some purple tape on back of my watercolor panel because we're going to stamp a couple times to have nice coverage with black ink. Just positioning there, making it sure it's straight. And I'm going over with my anti-static powder tool. Next I'm inking the stamp using black ink and stamping once, and then I will go one more time just to make sure, because in the middle it didn't stamp completely. So I'm just focusing more on the middle here. Let's see, I think I'll just press in the middle right there, and I think that looks good. Next I'm removing my stamp from the door of the MISTI, removing my panel, and I will apply some ultra fine clear embossing powder. So I'm using here cutting board to protect my surface from the heat of the heat tool. So we covered the entire panel, shaked off the excess, and now we are heat setting, and you can see how it becomes darker and black, more black, like intense black, as that embossing powder melts. So I think this is all the embossing powder, it's melted. Next I'm going with watercolor markers and coloring that entire panel. I'll speed up the process here so you don't get bored watching me color every single part of this background. I was gonna color, like select clouds and rainbows, but then I decided to color the entire panel. So I'm using blue, and then we're gonna go with purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, and pale pink for the rainbows. So almost done with I'm using water brush here, and I'm using my glass mat as a palette. It's very easy to clean off after that. I just wiped it off with a baby wipe. Or you can just use a towel, a wet towel to wipe it off. It comes out right out. So next here I'm coloring the purple. Then I'm gonna go with blue. Just making sure that I add the blue to every single rainbow. So next we're gonna do the green. Again, I'm repeating the same process for every single color. And as we go down the rainbow colors, it becomes faster because there's a smaller area, because those half circles are smaller and smaller. Next, I'm doing yellow. Just had to add a little bit more yellow there. Next, we're gonna do orange. And the last one is pale pink. You see there I have a piece of pitch black cardstock. I was gonna use pitch black cardstock for my sentiment and for the panel. I already had it stamped there, but the black kind of darkened the whole overall card, so I decided to go with white. So you can just ignore that piece of peach blood, cardstock, and sentiment, and you'll see what we're going to do next. So I have that background is done. Next I'm stamping the sentiment onto vellum using the embossing and watermark ink, and I'm using white embossing powder, and I hit set it. So I think this looks better. I just trimmed that panel, that sentiment to size, to a rectangle, and I cut coordinating mat. Next I'm using grape juice shadow ink and one of my Picket fans ink blending brushes to apply ink on the back of the sentiment, not on top of the where it's embossed, but on the back side. I think that looks pretty, like gives a little bit softer look. I'm just adding a little bit more to darken that. Then I'm gonna adhere it to another piece of vellum. So while I'm doing that, I decided to add fun foam on the back of my stamped and embossed and colored panel. And I put a huge acrylic block on top, like you can put any like heavy weight, to let it dry because we stamped on watercolor paper. And next, what I'm doing here, I'm layering the sentiment and the other piece of vellum. I'm using some vellum adhesive, and next I'll adhere it to my colored panel, and I'm using T-ruler to make sure that that sentiment is adhered straight. To finish it off, I'm adhering the whole panel to a top folding Dove white note card and putting an acrylic block on top to dry. By magic of YouTube, it's already dry, and now we can add the finishing touch. I'm adding little jewels to every single cloud on the panel. So you can see here, and then I'm doing the same on the top side and all the little clouds that I missed previously. And I'm using the Hero Arts precision glue to adhere those jewels. So here's a quick look. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to visit my blog for more details about the challenge. As well, don't forget to click on the subscribe now button so you don't miss any more inspiration and ideas. Thanks for watching. Bye!